Hello, everyone. Today, our guest is Michael Maljers, an entrepreneur who spent decades building bridges between ideas, people, and businesses. He's now the founder and CEO of an exclusive platform built for the top 1% professionals, and it's called Put It On. Welcome to Lex Woodley Interviews. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Put it on.
Yeah,
That sounds very intriguing.
Yeah.
Explain what it is.
Well, Put It On actually is a contact platform for the 1%. So the people that are looking for an exclusive platform and not willing to go over to LinkedIn, because as I told you before, LinkedIn became a social media platform. A really good platform. I'm kind of an ambassador for LinkedIn as well. But yeah, the funny thing is there are a lot of people leaving LinkedIn. So we just found out that this new market, that's the gap that we always talk about. That's a gap. We have to fill that gap. And people always have a choice when they look at stuff like Instagram or Pinterest or even Facebook. But there was never a choice making another decision for LinkedIn. So here we are, Put It On, straight from Rotterdam, the Netherlands.
That's already lots of information in a short time. So let's break it down a little bit more, because you said you already told me, but you haven't told the people here that are watching yet.
No, of course.
So it's for the 1%.
Yeah.
1% of
entrepreneurs, directors, professional athletes, lawyers, but people that maybe fell down 13 times and stood up 15 times. So people that can make decisions, people that always have a forward drive in life. I always say in Dutch, but I will translate it in English as well. We always look for the trendsetters. We never look for the trend followers. So people that make decisions.
And it's a platform. You already mentioned LinkedIn.
Yeah.
How would you say that this platform is different than LinkedIn?
Well, we are all on LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn. I myself are on LinkedIn. What you see is you have a large database of content that comes by every single day. When it's your birthday, people start to say, well, Lexter, happy birthday. Lots of people you don't even know because they want thumbs up. So we're actually a platform that makes a decision in giving you really the right content. So when you come into Put It On, we're going to make a file, who you are, what you need, and where you can make decisions on, build on the content that you gave us. So no birthday stories and stuff like that.
That's a comparison with LinkedIn. How about X, formerly known as Twitter? How would you compare Put It On to that platform?
Well, X is really short messages. They now became a little bit bigger the last couple of years. But being on Put It On, what I just said, you need to send us your profile. Then we're going to compare, could you be on the platform? And X is free and Put It On is a paid platform. So it's totally different. Actually, you can't even say, well, is there a comparison? Because it's so different by itself.
Why is it a paid platform? You could be exclusive, but still.
Because the 99% of the people that want to be on the platform, we don't allow them on the platform. Because a CEO or a director for a firm, he has a limited time. And in the limited time, he only want to do stuff with like-minded people. So the guy that's actually next door, that would be a really good colleague, would say, am I able to be on the platform? No, we don't want you on the platform. We actually only want the 1% on the platform.
Yeah, but you still could have the 1% without paying. So is the paying also like, if you cannot afford it, then you don't belong here, or what? What is that?
Everybody belongs somewhere, but our thought is you have to pay because normally you get everything for free. And these people, they just have to go over a certain kind of itchy little thing to come in. Then we know you're really on board. If you go on a holiday, you have to pay. If you buy a new jeans, you have to pay. But for platforms, it's always everybody wants everything for free. If you see how much data there's on a platform like YouTube or something else, you have to ask yourself, is this normal that I get everything for free? It's not normal. because there's a lot of data. Everybody's on his phone, going by phones and stuff like that. So, no.
So what's the price tag?
The price tag right now is €400 to get in, but we're changing that. The end of the year, probably the price tag will be around 10,000.
That's quite a jump.
Yeah. That's a really big jump. The last 3 years we were actually in the seed phase of the platform, so we checked everything out. Are people interested in put it on? Well, they are, because now we still tell people you're not allowed on the platform. So there is a change being made. So we're stepping up, and probably in 2-3 years the price will go up a little bit more. But 10,000 for a platform like this is a normal price.
So you said you mentioned the last 3 years. When could you go back to when it started? Go back to when the idea came about.
Well, the idea, then I have to go back a really long time, because the idea already started about 30 years ago. 30 years ago, I worked for a brewery here in Rotterdam called Oranjeboom, InBev. Yeah, you always went over to clients and you made a personal contact. And I always told people that worked with me, keep a little black book where you note all the names, you note all their data, you exactly note when there is their birthday, you send them a little card, and everybody thought, well, this guy's crazy. But actually 30 years later, there's still something about that little black book. So, for example, you would like to call the director of Under Armour, Philip Plank. Then my little black book is coming back again, and let's say, okay, let's call Philip Plank. Let's call him right now. You don't have to go to his secretary, to the tiger that keeps you out of the fort. We're going to call him directly. And now people after those 30 years thought, well, okay, there's a gap for a platform like this.
And then what's the moment that you thought like, okay, this platform needs to...
Well, actually, you know that because we talked about it before. People don't know it yet, but the funny thing is, before we started the platform, and I knew up ahead we have to invest a lot of money into the platform, we started going around all kind of entrepreneurs, asking them, well, is there a gap? Is there something else for next to LinkedIn? So we talked about 200-300 people, and everybody said the same thing. Well, I'm still on LinkedIn with my face, but I'm leaving. And that's the time that we thought we're starting a new platform. Because all these people with a really big base of contacts, they all say the same things. They don't know each other, but the answers are quite similar. That's when we started to develop the platform. So it took us 3 years. Yeah. We're not there yet, but okay.
And who's we?
It's me and my team.
Tell us more about your team.
Well, I have a new team right now, but it's also the same team that started everything with us. So we have a couple of people in Thailand, we have some people in Indonesia, and we have some people here in Holland. And Holland as in Spijkenis. That's always funny, saying you have New York, you have Bali or whatever, and then all of a sudden Spijkenis, but okay. So the team is, it's quite a large team, but yeah, really good guys.
So 3 years ago, you and your team decided, let's have this platform.
Yeah.
And then how did you further go about that?
Well, we started making drawings. After the drawings, we did all the technique. We started building everything ourselves. So we're not a WordPress platform or a Drupal platform. We built the whole code on Laravel. There's another way of building it, say for Symfony. That's a platform that is being used by LinkedIn, Microsoft, Facebook. They all use Symfony. We used Laravel. That's the technique, but it could actually handle about 30 million people on a platform. So that's our goal.
Mm. When did you launch it?
We launched it the 11th of January 2024. So it's a year back. We actually launched it. Before that, we did 2 years of research and developing the whole platform.
And now I know that you don't consider the quantity as much as the quality. Still, you must have a timeline of how you would want to see the platform develop.
Yeah.
How does that timeline look like?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, we always only look for quality. So we do have a timeline. At the end of this year, we want some new features actually at the platform. We have a chat, so all members can actually chat to one another. You get a link on your phone like, hey, Lexter wants to chat with you. Are you free? You can actually input that. There are special events you can actually go to. So that is a little bit about our timeline. So we do have certain kind of things that we want on the platform, but they all have to be really good. So when there is a level that is too low for us, and we would say we want it in December 2025, but we're not at that level, we're not going to implement it. So it takes a little bit longer, and that's with technique. I understand your question, and normally you would say, I'm here Friday at 5 o'clock, then the doorbell has to ring at Friday 5 o'clock, and you want to see someone. This is a little bit different. Yeah, it's like a ping pong game.
Yeah. So at this moment, though, for people who would be members at this moment at Put It On, what do they get for the membership?
We always said it's same as in sales. You can sell somebody something, and then maybe you can do it a second time. But it would be quite different if you sell somebody something with a certain kind of feeling. Then if people have the right feeling, they come back every single time. What we actually do is it's more like a personal thing. So the CEO, director, or whatever, the sporty guy could say, I have a problem. I want somebody to fix my problem. And I want direct contact with the other guy. That's not something you get at LinkedIn, but that's something you do get with us. So we actually look to the contact that is quite personal. And as I told you before, there was a movie, a little film from Obama actually on LinkedIn, and he said, I don't want a guy with papers. The only thing I really want is a guy that says, Mr. President, just wait, we're going to fix this for you. And that's how our platform works. I'm not going to tell everything about it because there are people watching and people listen, and they always say, well, this is a really good idea. But I can tell you in bigger lines what is happening, but it's personal. So actually the CEO of which kind of brand, it could be my former classmate, as I told you, Derek Pope, the director of Coca-Cola in the United States. If this guy comes on the phone and says, hey, Michael, listen, we have a problem. Can you fix this? We all have contacts that could fix his problem.
How does the selection procedure look like then?
Well, it's like the Raya app. 99% of the people that actually want to be on the contact Raya.
Could you explain what Raya
is like a contact app.
A dating app, right?
A dating app, correct. That's what it is. But they're really strict who they get in. And the same for us. So we're looking at what is your net worth. For us to come on board, it's $1 million. That is the net worth. We actually look at how can you make the difference on the platform? What can you actually bring to the platform? What is your capability? What is your capacity? How does your company look like? Those are all questions. And if there goes a red dot behind your name, then you're not on the platform. Those people still have a platform. They can actually go over to LinkedIn. Good for them, but it's not good for us.
With the Raya app, from what I understand, they look at how famous someone might be.
Yeah.
A very famous person might not have €1 million.
Correct.
Would that be something to consider? Like, okay, this person doesn't have that amount of money, but is pretty famous, has quite some connections, pretty well connected. Would you consider someone like that?
Marketing-wise, that could be a really good strategy, but you also have to follow a certain line. So you couldn't say, well, we actually ask $1 million, but this guy only has 100,000, and then say, okay, he's on board. That's not good for the other members, because they could actually say, I'm less famous, and this guy can actually come on board with 100,000.
But people wouldn't know that from each other, right?
No, but you know social media, how it works. The funny thing is everybody knows everything about everybody.
Really? Well,
No.
When it comes to salary, what people earn, like, okay, in the US, you could probably, Google it. But in the Netherlands, there's kind of a culture of like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm earning. It's a bit more difficult to find out.
Correct.
So not to have like the backlash of other members, you kind of could push someone forward who is, I'm just wondering if you would consider someone who is probably not that wealthy, not that rich, but is very well connected. Would that not be helpful for the platform?
Like I said, the funny thing is the Dutch market is a really hard market. If you succeed here, you could actually be Frank Sinatra and sing his song. If you can make it there, you make it everywhere. Because the Dutch market is the hardest market in Europe. Because people are so conservative. They are always, I already have this, I already have that. They are little princes and princesses, the Dutch market. So actually we look to other markets, to the US market, to the African market, the Asian market. People are more outgoing. And for them it's simpler to talk about money or stuff like that. When you're in the United States and you're at the stopping light, you're in front of the red light, same as the color you're dressed in today. You're at the red light and they know this guy already went bankrupt 12 times. They still give you the thumbs up. And over here, they give you another finger. So we started everything here on the Dutch market, but we're actually looking to expand to other markets.
What do you think the biggest market could be? Which country?
African market.
The biggest?
The biggest. Because people, they get more salary, they're becoming a little bit wealthier, they want to be part of something really big. The US market is already there, and you heard about all the comments right now from the US about Europe. Europe, find out everything yourself. Well, they're right, because they supported us a really long time. But the African market is a really big market. Africa as a country is a really big country. So that will be a market for us as well, for Put It On. So we always ask those people, if you're not on, we're going to put you on. So for the African people that are watching your show.
You've lived in Africa.
I've lived in Durban, yeah, for 3 years.
How long ago was that?
I was 6 years. So I would
that was not too long ago, huh?
I would love to say it's 14 years ago, but
Yes.
that's not the truth. No, I lived there when I was 6. I'm 58 right now, so that's a long time. My dad was a consultant for Van Noord. We moved along with my family, my mom, my sister, and myself.
Tell me more about the places you've lived, because with Put It On, it's a global market.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to know where you have been.
Well, that's the red line about starting a contact platform like Put It On, because I started I grew up here in Rotterdam. Then we first moved over to South Africa, 1974. I was 6 years old. I lived down there till I was 9. Then we came back to the Netherlands. Well, 9 months later, my dad got a new job and we moved over to New Orleans in the United States. We came back to the Netherlands again and we lived here a couple of years and we moved out to Jacksonville in Florida. And I came back, followed my school here in the Netherlands. And then afterwards, my parents, they moved back to the United States and I started moving around as an entrepreneur. I had different companies. So I lived in Asia. I stayed in Guangzhou for a year. I lived in Cairo in Africa for a year. I stayed in London for 2 years. I did my military time in Stolzenau in Germany. So yeah, that's a little bit who I am. I'm moving around, listening to people, what they actually find interesting. And it's always about contact. This morning, a funny thing, because you asked that, is about, it was in the newspaper that a lot of young people right now that want to do everything on the app, they are now looking to normal phones again, like Nokia and stuff, because they love to call people. They want to connect. And that's why we always said Put It On is about the gap that became into the market, that was created in the market. People actually look for the personal contact again.
Why the name Put It On? Why not Let's Connect or why Put It On?
I couldn't give you an answer. It came out of my own brain, and I always say to people, yeah, this came out of my brain. You should have asked your brain. But it's a good question. I know what you mean, but yeah, put it on. You're going to put something on. You put your sweater on, you put your cards on, you put the show on. Oh, put it on.
Yeah. And then put it on when it comes to connecting, it's put on your
profile. It's nice that you asked that. We have Put It On, but we also have Wiki On. You have the Wiki page. Wiki stands for knowledge. So we also have the Wiki On. And that's part of Put It On. So there is Put It On and there is Wiki On for knowledge. And that will explode a little bit the end of this year as well. But there's already a Wiki On, part of Put It On.
You posted something, and that was actually a joke about LinkedIn.
Yeah,
about
how to finally leave LinkedIn.
Yeah. So it was a joke, but LinkedIn didn't think it was that funny.
No, they actually took me off. So I was off for 2 weeks, and then I had to write them a letter saying sorry, and I was back on again. But they didn't enjoy it. I thought it was a joke. It said the highlight was how to finally leave LinkedIn. Kind of a joke, but they're humorless people.
How many people?
How many people?
Yeah. You said...
Well, the CEO of LinkedIn or whatever part of the company said we're allowed to take him off. I don't believe that the CEO does that.
I thought you said something about amount of people, but I am interested in how many people viewed it or liked it.
15,000.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine that LinkedIn is like, we don't want that many people to have this idea.
Yeah, we actually launched a deep link in the flyer that we had. So they could actually click on the flyer and then they came and put it on, something different. But it still goes for those people as well. If there are 15,000 people looking at our platform, it's always the question, do they go through the test? Yeah, because we're not a free platform. People have to pay for the platform. And then the Dutch people, you're correct about your question, they would actually say, hey, listen, do I have to pay for a platform? I will stay on LinkedIn. That's a good thing.
You are more strict. How strict are you? When would you say like, okay, we're going to bounce you off? What are the things that someone could do to bounce themselves, have themselves?
Child molesting, stuff like that. Pornographic content, child abuse, stuff like that. Hate mails and stuff like that isn't allowed and put it on. It's not who we are. It's not normal.
That is also what LinkedIn would say, I would think.
I guess they would say that. I can speak for them. They probably would like it. As a positive ambassador about LinkedIn, let me make that quite clear. But yeah, you do need the people for that. And sometimes people don't have so many followers. So you see content like that still going through. And for us, it's not about the numbers. It's all about the quality. So we don't have like them. They have a billion users. That's immense. That's really nice. But it took them 22 years.
That's not the time that you want to have passed before you get to a...
Not for me. I enjoy my work. I do this for a really long time. This is the 17th platform that I made. As I told you earlier, before this, I was the owner of Fuel Addicts, the biggest energy platform within Europe. We had 500,000 viewers every single month. So that was really huge. But this is a little bit different. When we have, he's not on the platform, but we actually will ask him to be on the platform, like Philip Plank, the CEO of Under Armour. Yeah, he doesn't want to contact with the guy that's working at, the local energy station or whatever. He would say, you know that my content is secured? Yeah, it's secured. Okay, that's great for me. I would love to be on your platform. And sometimes I have problems. I would love you with the guys from the platform to solve it, or maybe other contacts, because we're like-minded.
When it comes to contacts, or maybe the person is not on your platform as yet, but maybe it is possible. If there's a certain contact that you think is very interesting, that you could maybe ask for advice, who would that contact be?
Well, for me, I always loved and still like him, Obama.
Obama?
Yeah.
Why?
He looks like an honest guy. He has an open look. He's quite smart. It's a nice guy. So it's a guy that you would actually like as your friend as well. And what I told you, the way that he speaks and he acts, and he would say, well, Mr. President, we don't look at papers from people. We just look at people that fix stuff. That, Mr. President, we're going to fix this for you. It's a little bit who we are. So Obama would be a really good guy, a really good contact for the platform. And I think he has a lot of stuff to put on.
I think so. I think he can put it on.
Yeah.
Anybody else, or only Obama?
Oh, there are many people.
Yeah.
But
that's the first one who comes to mind.
That's the first one that really comes to mind. Yeah.
Would someone who has more than €1 million and has a good network, but comes from an industry that is frowned upon, do you look at that as well? Or
Sorry.
That comes from an industry like OnlyFans or from that corner. Is someone like that welcome?
I myself would look at people like those people as well. But actually the contacts on the platform, they rather not have those people on the platform.
So that's what you look at as well?
Yeah. Because it has to be really professional.
could be pretty professional what they can speak about.
Yeah, correct. But we also had on the platform Kim Holland. She is a really nice lady. And she talks about business the whole time. But actually, there were other people on the platform. I'm not going to call any names, but a CEO of a really big company said, well, my picture is next to that picture. For me, it's a problem because people always think about framing people and stuff like that. So that doesn't really work. So up front, we already think about, say, for example, those people come in. We would actually tell them, well, listen, you're really nice and you could actually add something to the platform, but not for the people that are on the platform at this time. Maybe they're more for the wiki on instead for put it on. Put it on will be a secure platform. No one can actually look anymore at the content that we share. At the end of this year, it closes up. And you can actually only be part of the platform when you have a referral or you're already on the platform and you would say, well, hey, listen, I'm married to Lexter, for example. Could my wife be on the platform as well? Because then you have like an introduction. But you cannot say anymore at the end of this year, hey, listen, I want to be a member of the platform. That closes down.
How many hours per week do you work to get this put it on?
Up in the air?
Up in the air and to the next levels.
Yeah. Well, I work 70 hours a week. So normally 7 days a week, but I always try to keep the Friday as my day. Friday, I don't do anything. I go over to the gym, work out a little bit, and that's it.
How does that look like? 70 hours, that's a lot.
It is.
Could you take us through how that might look like?
Normally I start at 6:30 in the morning. And then I always work till 8, 9 o'clock every evening. So when my wife comes home, we always eat together. We always have breakfast together. I have a dog. I walk the dog a couple of times a day. But no, my working area is around 70, 75 hours. So this is the hours you have to put into. I mean, I make about 300 hours every single month. So I always listen to a lot to You Just Asked Me. You got really nice contacts. Louis Vergaal, another guy that I really appreciate. And he always talked about developing a talent. Takes you about 10,000 hours to develop that talent. So we're 3 years on the road. And we already put up 9,500 hours. So
I'm just still too curious not to know more. What do you do exactly with Put It On during
the day?
Yeah.
Well, we do a lot of email. We approach a lot of brands. That's another thing that we're doing right now. We're starting to connect with a lot of brands. We're actually telling those brands, listen, we have really a nice database with contacts. Would you like to get in contact with those people? We could actually do that for you. So like a Bentley dealer or Porsche dealer or whatever, a Dior dealer. Hey, listen, we would like to organize a special event with our customers, the 1%. Can we invite them? And we invite around 20 or 30 people and we go over to the event. Maybe you could even host the event for us. But those are things that we look at. So again, the red thing in the whole story is wake up, start emailing, going to my car, making some podcasts myself, visiting clients, looking what's out there in the market in the Netherlands. Sometimes we go over to Belgium, a couple of times we go over to Germany, but that is the basic stuff.
Yeah. So you're networking also
the whole day.
Offline. For
online.
It to happen online and also online through other platforms. Yeah. You are flying to Thailand soon.
Yeah, 3 weeks from now.
Yeah. What's going to happen then?
Well, we're going to open up a hub in Thailand. We're going to open up the Put It On hub in Thailand for the Asian market. Because you asked me what is a market that you would really like to be in. That's the African market. But we're also going to put people in Asia for the Asian market. So myself, I'm here in Holland, the Netherlands, to do the Belgian market, the German market, and the Dutch market. But actually in every country, we need a Michael that is the link between the brands, the contacts, and Put It On, to be the personal guide for people that actually love to be in contact with other like-minded people.
So hubs all over the world.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start later this year. We will fly over to Los Angeles. We're going over there to open up a hub for the Put It On. Now we're going over to Asia, to Thailand, to open up a hub. Maybe that's not a thing, but that's always in my mind, open up something for Australia. So we look actually for young, driven people that would say, well, I have those contacts. I know a lot of people, and contacting people is really who I am in my heart.
Put it on. Yeah, that is really cool. What is the call to action that you would want to give out, to share when it comes to Put It On?
Look at the platform. It's putiton.online. Look at the platform. See if you can be eligible to join the platform. See if it works.
And then it's just a matter of filling in some details.
Yeah.
And how long will it take for
3 working days.
3 working days.
Yeah. Because we're not going to check everything. Because, say, for example, you would ask me, I would like to be on the platform. And then you would say, I saw a contact. I would love to be in contact with this person. We bring you in contact. And then after a couple of weeks, you say, I had a really bad feeling, Michael, about this. What is that bad feeling? Well, this guy, he ripped me off or whatever. Then you're going to point the finger at us. That doesn't work. So we do a background check. You also, as a headhunter, already knows how this works. So you have to fill in the list. We have to check it. We have to check it again and see, are these the right people that we want on the platform? Because otherwise people started pointing fingers at you, and that is not something that we want to see.
Mm-hmm. And if someone then gets permission, access to the platform, then all the other members will get a notification about that.
They will get notifications. We will let those people know, listen, this is a new member on the platform. He came in. You want to contact him. That's possible. But we try to be the link ourselves at the most of the time, because it's always nicer that you have a warm introduction. Besides, we checked it. That's nice. But it feels a little bit different when there's always this message coming in from Dr. Lexter Woodley directly to this guy. It would be nicer if it would, this is a really nice lady. Is there a possibility you guys could meet up? That works better. People appreciate it.
I would think that now that membership is €400 and it's going to go out to 10,000, people maybe should try to get in now before it goes out to 10,000.
Yeah, if they get in, it's a good thing. And it's business deductible. €400 is, for most people, it is nothing. Of course, when they relate it to LinkedIn, that is free. It's totally something different. But another thing about, and I forgot to tell you that, if you look at LinkedIn, they determine how large your stuff is that you can upload. So if you have a video, it's this amount of MBs that you could actually upload. If you have a picture, the size has to be this size to upload it. For us, it doesn't matter. If you want to put up 10 podcasts on Put It On, you can directly fill in 10 podcasts. If you want to do 20 films, you can actually upload 20 films. If you want to have 200 pictures, you can upload 200 pictures. You're the owner of your own content. You're the owner of your own contacts. With the joke they did with me, they threw me off LinkedIn. What happened with my contacts? They were nowhere because I didn't store them.
That's good to know. That's good. That is an immense server that you then have for everybody to be able to do that. Yeah.
So it's totally something different, but it's normal that people say, well, this is related to LinkedIn. And why do they do that? Because there's nothing else. If you look at Pinterest, there's something else. You have Instagram, there's something else. Facebook, there's something else. But if I ask you, okay, tell me who is the competitor of LinkedIn, would you directly know?
No. Yeah, Put It On.
That's a good thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michael, for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Put it on!
Yeah, put it on.
It's a wrap.
Okay, thanks.